The future looks so bright when it comes to, wow, pun intended, when it comes to solar technology. But what are the challenges? What are the major hurdles along the way for us to achieve this dream of having renewable and cheap energy through solar energy?
We're in a very fortunate position compared to if solar was still expensive and we had to bring it to a point that it was competitive. Solar is already cost competitive, but people just don't know it. And because they don't know it, regulators are not yet still creating space for solar to take shape. People are still building more coal power plants when instead solar can be cost competitive. So the real missing piece now is just awareness. And if everyone in this room makes it a point in every future discussion on the future of energy to rebut any claims that renewable energy has to be expensive and that there's no such thing as a free lunch. The challenge is really just raising awareness to the fact that you can now have electricity that is both clean and cheap and good for the country.
Okay, thank you, Leanne. Okay, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's good for everybody to start thinking that this is actually a possibility and something that you can apply to your house, like what Atom was just saying. But also, does anyone have any questions? Raise your hand. We'll have someone come over to you with a microphone. And you can ask Leanne about this, about what the future of solar might look, or any other questions that you might have.
Good afternoon, sir. So, Mr. Leon, you're telling us that solar energy will soon be cost effective, or it is already cost effective. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right. So, not to be some kind of a doomsayer, but I think I may be misinformed, but when it comes to, for example, the existing energy supplies like we have right now, like coal or oil, we've seen that some corporations, especially in the Middle East, they would resort to exploitation, if I'm not mistaken. That does happen, is that correct? Or I might be misinformed. What I'm saying is this: if it really becomes that cheap, how sure are we that in the future we will not fall victim to the exploitation of solar energy? Like, for example, we already have illegal. For example, okay, it's quite far-fetched. It's quite a far-fetched world. For example, lumber. But we already have people exploiting. We already have illegal logging in the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken. So they usually do illegal logging to exploit the existing natural resources. Now, with today, sure, there won't be anyone exploiting solar energy, but how sure are we that this will not be exploited in the future? We may promise that it is cheap today, but if it remains cheap today, then the companies will see it. Then, are there any existing safeguards that protect the potential of solar energy from excessive exploitation? That would be all.
Thanks for the question. The difference between solar and fossil fuel is that there's no fuel necessary to power a solar panel. So the question is, how do we make sure that solar panel prices won't increase if this becomes a real market? And the difference for solar panel prices and fuel prices is that this is not a scarce natural resource. Solar panels are made of silicon cells, the same type of thing that we use in all of our PCs, laptops, and cell phones, that don't follow supply and demand, that don't go up in price. They've only ever been going down because the technology is consistently improving according to Moore's law. And if ever silicon prices go up, there are alternative resources that can be used to make these. So it's a different paradigm when prices aren't just going up and down. They will always be going down because this is a technology and not a natural resource that is scarce.
Thank you. Do we have another question? Kung pwede lang po lumapit ng konti so we can see you in the light.
And please introduce yourself.
And please introduce yourselves, right?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Pocholo. Would it be possible to, I guess my question is, what are the barriers that you are experiencing today in helping spread solar power? I was surprised to find out that you're saying that solar power is already competitive today, and I thought that would be years from now. So, and maybe the second part of the question is, does it have to be rolled out in scale? So do you have to build very big solar plants for it to work, or could it be a mixture? Could it be done in smaller scales, like more rooftops? Does it have to be done by an SM? Can it be done by a smaller group of people? Does it really have to be that big for it to be possible to be rolled out properly?
So I'd say that along with public awareness, the biggest barrier to adopting all of this solar energy is it just takes a while for us to transition to something completely new. And the more people like those of us here that are helping in raising awareness to that and getting our friends and neighbors and companies and such to go solar, the faster that transition can happen. But in terms of whether it's going to happen on land, on big roofs and small roofs, it actually has to happen in all of them. And it makes sense that the economies are actually more favorable to smaller installations because homes, for example, pay higher electricity rates than malls. So there's a higher cost of generation for a smaller system, but you also have greater unit cost savings. All the more for a solar farm, I agree it has to be very big. And after all, that's why you have coal plants that are 600 megawatts to 1,000 megawatts in size, whereas you're comparing these against solar plants that are a tenth or even less in size. You gotta have solar at a really large scale to make it competitive on the wholesale market. But on homes, because you're saving on transmission, distribution, and all these other charges, it's already cost competitive even for that. And because land is gonna be limited ultimately, we're gonna have to find ways to put solar on all the available surface areas we have. In the future, it's not just gonna be solar panels on rooftops. The roofs itself will be made using solar material. The windows will be made of solar-powered glass. And the majority of buildings' consumption can come on site. So I think it's got to be all of the above for this to happen.